Welcome back to Secrets of a Church Girl. I'm Allison.
I'm Randy.
And today we're going to be doing part 2 of red flags, green flags, beige flags,
Yes.
white flags.
I love that.
Yes.
I was looking around to see if we had any. We have so many books in here. You can't see from Allison's angle, but we're actually in the works of getting the set ready for season 3.
Period.
So it's exciting. We're going to have like shelving. And
Yeah, it's going to look so good.
yeah, we have these cute little couches. We're so excited. They've just been hanging out at the church.
I know. I was like, should I just pick that up on the way over?
Yeah, I'm excited for all this because we just jumped in. We were like, hey, let's just do it and see how we feel. And so next season, we're excited to like add some sprinkle.
Can't wait.
That. All right. So yeah, we were talking last episode about green, red, beige, white flags.
Yeah.
In like friendships, we talked a lot more about friendships, I feel like.
Yeah, I
And
think so
then,
too.
Like briefly about relationships, even in like in your local church, like what is a green flag? What's a red flag? And yeah, we just were like coming to the end of the episode and we were like, we have more.
Yeah.
We have a lot more.
Yeah.
We left off on some of the red and green flags of like the local church. Like when you're going into a local church, like what is something that should be like, oh, I should pay attention to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did want to make a point, like when you think about flags, especially like within the church, you're going to definitely see unhealthy and dysfunction in just people that attend and do life there because they're human beings and we're all on the same page in the sense that we're attempting to allow Jesus to mold us and transform us. So like, I think as long as your spiritual family is striving towards health, then I think you're in a good place. But I think when it's like, this is how it's been, this is how it's always going to be, that's the end of the story, I feel like that's a red flag.
Yeah, definitely.
But we were talking about that. But we were also looking and kind of coming up with some relationship red flags. I've seen red flags in relationships, and I can tell you a juicy story, not a juicy story, but a story about now that I look back, I'm like, this was such a red flag.
Yeah.
I remember dating somebody in high school, like my maybe like junior year or senior year. And I liked this person for so long, and was like, you know, kind of just was like, he didn't like me. He had other people he was talking to and like would play on and off like, oh, I think I like you. Like I want us to be together, whatever. And then we would talk briefly or he would like ask me to be his girlfriend or like, I think we're going to be serious, whatever. And then like a few days later, he would be like, well, I'm actually talking to somebody else now. And it would be, I know, it's devastating when you're 16 years old. Gosh. So then we finally, the turns have tabled. The tables turned.
Yeah.
And he wanted to like make it official and he liked me and like all this stuff. But by that point, I was like, okay.
You done had it.
Yeah, I done had it.
Yeah,
enough is enough. So I was like, no, I'm not about it. And we had always like texted for like a year straight, like on and off talked.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So sad. And I remember I was living at my grandma's house and he was calling me and I was like kind of done because I had found out he had been talking to this other girl and like this I don't know. It was very bizarre. And especially it's the worst when like you find out that they're talking to somebody and then that person looks nothing like you, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
I remember being like super insecure about that.
Yeah.
And which I feel like is a whole other thing that we could take apart. But I remember being at my grandma's house and like walking away from my phone. My grandma was like making food and we were like, I don't know, living life, whatever you do in high school. And I got back to my phone and I had like 37 missed calls.
From him.
And then I didn't want to answer. I was like, I don't care. Like I'm fed up now. You got me until I'm being got. Then I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So then I didn't answer, literally like turned my phone off, woke up in the morning and I had like 100 and something missed calls and text messages. I'm outside of your grandma's house. You need to come talk to me. I'm going to climb into your window.
Oh.
Like I need to talk. Like please don't like, please. The bombing, whatever kind of bomb you want to call it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like what part of this is like, I clearly don't want to talk. Can you please, like, there's got to be some level of not only respect for me, but like, dude, do you have any dignity?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
anything like, and I remember times where like I would call multiple times, but it was probably like maybe 3 times. After the 3rd time, done is done. If
Well,
you're gonna answer
it's like you've been forwarded to an automated voicemail. Oh, geez. Okay. Like you feel rejected.
yeah. Do you have a history of doing that or experiencing that?
Doing that. No, I'm just kidding.
Stop. That is so strong.
I feel like I have one experience in past relationships, like besides this one like really chaotic relationship. Not really. Like I feel like all the boys that I talked to, the 2 boys that I dated like for a period of time were very respectful of me. Even though they weren't super healthy, they were like, okay, you know, like they would never.
If you need space, then fine.
Or maybe it was like they didn't care that much. It could have been that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think we equate that like intensity of like
it's like love.
as like caring for somebody. And it's like, no.
I could see that. Yeah, I think it depended on the situation too.
Yeah,
like, you know, if I was like out with my friends and he hadn't heard from me in 3 hours, like he might call me 7 times. But like, otherwise, it was like, okay, she's busy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I feel like that is so intense. There were so many red flags. I'm gonna tell you the rest of the relationship.
Let's hear.
I don't think I've ever told you this.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So on and off. And I mean on and off, like I think there was a period we were official and maybe that was like 3 months, 4 months in total. Like there was like official, everything else was just like, we're talking and kissing behind the science building, like this stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Dumb things. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember I feel like also I hadn't had like a serious relationship up to that point.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And so I had just been so desperate to be picked. Like I just wanted to be picked by anybody. It was so sad.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I feel so bad for that girl. Like I had just wanted to be picked so bad. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember finally like, do you have moments in a relationship where like the veil is lifted and you're like, what?
And you were disgusted.
And then you get like the ick just drips down your being and you're like, this is why? Ew.
Yeah.
You're not even cute.
There's no turning back after that.
Yeah, there's no turning back.
As many pairs of sunglasses you put back on, you cannot.
The veil never comes back down.
Yeah.
So I remember him finally like falling for me, right? Didn't want to be with anybody else. Mind you, the girl that he had dated, he had like stopped talking to me to date, was now dating his best friend. Oh. It was so, well, do you remember how messy high school was with dating?
Yeah.
So then I remember him falling head over heels, and this is maybe too much detail, and I know that there are people that grew up with me that will know exactly who I'm talking about. So this is just reality. I've learned, okay? And I pray that this person has too. We'll call him Adam. Okay. So Adam decides to dress up nice for school.
Oh my.
To like ask me to be his girlfriend. Right.
Yeah.
And him under the assumption that I've been waiting for this.
Oh.
Him under the
Adam, that was your first mistake.
Your first mistake was thinking I was ready.
Yeah.
No. And so he dresses up like in a nice button up long sleeve. I'll never forget this.
I'm scared.
And I remember being even more icked out.
100%.
Because I'm like, this is not.
No.
Where are you going? Are we going to Olive Garden for mommy's like 50th birthday? What is happening? So then I clearly remember, and I bet you there are people that went to high school that remember this day because it was so embarrassing. Mr. Adam was standing up against the health classroom door and was like ready for me to come talk to him so that he could be like, I'm ready to make it official with you. Right. And so I walk up to him and I'm going to tell him, I don't want to like talk to him. Like we're like completely done. Like I don't want to text you. I don't want to call you. I don't want to this. Even after the grandma house show up thing, like I still went back to talking to him. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's out of boredom too. You just want to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah, for sure.
So I go up to him to tell him like, we're not going to keep talking. And he's thinking that he's going to tell me like, we're official now. We're going to be together forever. Right. And, he starts to talk. So like, are we going to be official now? And I was like, actually, like, I just feel like this has been too much for me. Like, I don't want to do anything. And he like comes off of the wall, like throws himself off of the wall and he starts like yelling, like, what do you mean we're not going to, oh, you think you're going to this, all that stuff like that. So I go to walk away. And in our high school, we used to have to wear lanyards every day that had like your school ID. Yeah. And if you didn't have your lanyard, you literally couldn't get into school. Yeah. And so I had one that had like a clasp, like it was just like, you could pull it apart, put it together, pull it apart. And I walk away and I start walking away. And like, as you walked away from the health, you could go down a little bit. And then there was like the big, like it was like a stage that had stairs that you would do a lot of like band cheer performances, like all that stuff was like there. Yeah. And all of my friends, well, the group of people I hang out with, I don't even know if we were close friends or whatever, but I would hang out at that area with like a bunch of different random people. And I start walking and I'm like, that's it. Like, I don't care what you have to say anymore. Like, I'm finished. Right. And he grabs my lanyard as I'm walking and like tries to pull me back towards him, dude. And it like snaps off of me. And by this point he's yelling loud. And like our friends are starting to turn because he knew like we were all a big one group. I told you this too, it was a smaller school. Yeah. At this point, the one that I had transferred to. And so my friends start looking and then some of our guy friends start walking towards us because they're like, you know,
what's happening? Yeah.
Thank God for a few of the men at the school or guys at the school that were like gentlemanly, like, yeah. And they had to go like stop him from like chasing me. It was like, it was so like, ew. So dramatic. Yeah. So dramatic.
The drama.
Yeah, brother. After a year, you're realizing this now. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, just a little too.
And what is he gonna do? Chase you down, and then you're gonna be like, "Oh wow, that's what I was looking for. I love you so much."
The snap of the lanyard really got me.
Really got you.
Just made me realize
instantly in love.
What the? That was crazy.
Gosh,
so embarrassing. So yeah, some of our friends like grabbed him. We're like, "Yo, you gotta do this here."
Yeah, no.
Humiliating.
Yeah.
Humiliating.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I did not have like no experience like that in high school.
Yeah, it was embarrassing and dramatic as heck.
Yeah. That's actually a red flag to me. Like, if you're willing to argue with me in public, ew. Ew.
You know what I just told Billy this yesterday. I was like, there may be things that I feel like, oh my gosh, is he gonna be okay or is this that, whatever, in our own race. But I have not a single fear in my bone that he would ever raise his voice at me in public.
Yeah. Not even yell, but like, are we really about to go back and forth when somebody's like clearly like right in front of us? You know what I mean? Yeah.
No.
I remember like my first relationship, like my long-term high school boyfriend, like we had like established, like I was just so funny. Like, here's the list of things we're going to do and we're not going to do. And like, it was like, we don't tell people when we're fighting. We're not telling the whole town because like we lived in such a small school. So then whatever. Yeah. But then I remember getting into like a relationship after that, and the guy would literally like go back and forth with me in front of people, and because like we were so young when we got in the relationship and we didn't even do that, and then we're like mature and supposed to be
maturing. You're more mature than you were at
that age, when he did that, I was like so caught off guard because I was like, what are you doing? And then it's like ew, just disgusting.
It's so embarrassing, dude.
So
my body gets so tense. Like, there have even been times where like with people that were really close to Billy and I'm like, no, I don't think we should do that. He's like, yeah, I think we should. And I'm like, well, what about whatever? And even that, like, it's such a calm, like, we're not angry. We're just kind of trying to figure out what we're going to do for the day. I still feel like,
yeah. So
uncomfortable. Yeah. So I feel like there was so many red flags in that relationship. One, that he was dating and talking like to other girls, like on and off, and then would come back to me like I was the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So sad. Do you have any other like?
I actually had one experience like that. So like when I got out of like my high school relationship, and I was like so naive, and there was this guy that I always thought was so cute. Like from the time we literally went to third grade together. So I thought he was so cute. And he started like, I feel like he started like Snapchatting me randomly. We had always had each other on social media, whatever. Yeah. Don't know how it happened. And then because I had thought he was so cute for so long, but obviously I was dating someone else and like, you know, whatever. Then when I realized that he was interested in me, like he could do no wrong. Oh, like, God. And then hindsight, no, literally. And then in hindsight, like we were literally like, we would hang out, you know, a couple nights a week, almost every day, I guess, but like late at night, like, and then I'm like, what's happening here? And then he asked me to be his girlfriend. Then he broke up with me. Like, and then it was like, for a long time, it was like, I just wanted his attention. And then, ew.
Yuck.
Now I showed you it.
Oh, yeah. The AI.
Ew.
We'll call him AI.
Jump scare. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a red flag too. Just if this isn't a parent to you, maybe you're listening to this and you're young, even early in high school or young adult, if they only contact you at night, hello, yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's obvious, but maybe for us in our season of life, like duh. But there are people that you don't even correlate that.
Yeah. Well, literally, like at that time, like I was working all day, so like I was only available, you know, like evening. After 7 p.m. or something, you know, and then it was like, so it didn't even make sense. But then looking back, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? Yeah. Took me on one date to Applebee's.
You better get the 2 for $20. You're only allowed to order from the 2 for $20.
Fiesta line chicken or nothing. It was crazy.
Yeah. So. I also remember that this guy we called Adam, AI and Adam. Love that for us. At the point of the end of the relationship when it was like hyper intense of like whatever, he would always say, but you're my everything. You're my everything. You're my everything. And I'm like, okay,
red flag.
We're 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and again, like I probably said that a few times too when I was desperate and sad and just wanted to say something that would invoke like those emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like I was full of red flags too. Like I quit with it. I was too girl when I was 16 years old. Yeah. I was a walking red flag. But if somebody's telling you that you're their everything all the time, especially like even now, like I think in the space that's designated in my brain for my relationship with my husband, then in that scope, he's my everything.
Right.
But in the totality of my life, he is not.
Yeah.
He's not everything.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, Jesus is my everything, period.
Yeah.
And then in my little separate categories of my life.
Your kid is your everything in that category.
Yeah. As a parent.
Yeah.
The most important thing to me is my daughter. Yeah. Not making sure that she looks a certain way or that the food is prepped a certain way or that the house is clean. No. She's more priority to me than anything else. In my relationship with my husband, when it comes to all relationships, he's priority. Yeah. But he's not everything, because if he's everything, there's no room for anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like when someone is like your everything, then that leaves very little room for the rest of your identity. Yeah. And then they become your identity. And then you have, if you lose them, if that goes up or down, if that changes at any point in your life, then you lose everything about yourself. Yeah. And you have to rebuild because they've taken space that wasn't rightfully theirs. Right. Or you gave space to them that wasn't rightfully theirs.
Definitely. Yeah, that's actually really good. I feel like people think that's like a compliment. Like, you're my everything. Ew. I will say you're everything. Like, you are giving everything, but you are not my everything. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever said that to anyone before.
I feel like I probably have it in some really
I feel like
way.
I feel like the lingo I use like is so like,
what do you mean?
Like, I'll just be like, I feel like I'm not like gushy like that. So like, if like, I will never be like to the person I'm seeing like, I think you were just like so handsome. Like, I'll be like, you're hot. Okay, great. Like, move on. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm like, you look great today. Okay, bye.
I love that for you. Yeah, I tell Billy he's handsome for sure. Like, oh, you're so handsome.
But you know how like I feel like guys like do that, like just like gush over you and like, I'm like, ew. Just like say like I'm beautiful and move on.
No, that's deflecting.
You're
deflecting
think?
Something. Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, because even when I compliment you, go. Did I get it down?
I don't know though.
A little bit of compliment.
Okay, maybe there's like a time and a place. But like if we're on the phone like going on and on for 15 minutes.
That's different.
I feel like that's too much. I feel like that's like love bombing vibes.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, let's talk about love bombing.
Yeah.
Can you give us a definition, Dr. Allison?
Okay. I have lots of experience. I actually don't know what the definition is.
Well, have you experienced it?
For sure.
Okay, tell us.
For sure. Okay, this is what the definition is based on Google. It says love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation and psychological abuse that involves someone showering another person with excessive affection, attention, or compliments to gain control over them. So yeah.
Especially after an argument.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was my experience with like love bombing. Like the person that I was talking to like pretended they were everything that I wanted. Which is, I think it's like a sign of narcissism. Like when somebody like Because obviously when you're talking to someone, you're like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, this is what I want in the future. Like, whatever. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I want that too. Oh, yeah, this. Like, and this is like one specific thing that I remember. But like, this is dumb. But I was like, I would love to like film TikToks, like have like a family, like YouTube channel. Like, I love that vibe. Mm-hmm. And obviously I like to make TikToks. So like, whatever. And he was like, oh my God, I love that. That's so cool. I watched this one, whatever. Right. Then anytime I would pull out the camera
To film?
yes.
Okay.
Like just me, like where we were, like what we were eating, whatever.
Have a check.
Don't put me in the camera. Don't put me in the camera. I don't want to be on that. What? Like I know it's dumb, but it's like,
yeah.
ew, you couldn't have said like you don't like that because if I knew that like previous, like
I would have thought of that.
yeah.
That.
Yeah. But like, yeah, definitely like just everything that you say you want, they are literally that. And then it's like they're obsessed with you and then they're cold, they're hot. I feel like that was another thing. It's like very hot and cold, like for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then you were like chasing like
yeah, when they were hot, it was great. But then when
Yeah.
they were cold, then you just have to go into like hyperdrive to go after them.
yeah. Which is, yeah.
What's the love bombing that you experienced though? As far as like, okay, would you have like a blow up, an argument, or what was it? And then it would come after, or was it just like random?
No, I literally feel like it was like some days like obsessed with me, wanted to talk about the future, this, that, whatever. And then like the next day, nothing. Like literally nothing. Not like
And then how would they get you back?
love bomb the next day.
Oh, like get obsessive with you, compliment you. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I get what you're saying.
Like bring me flowers, drop off food, like all this stuff, and then nothing. And that like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever experienced love bombing. No. But I've seen it. I see it everywhere. I see it in so many relationships. Even in the fact that like it usually comes to replace the hard conversation.
For sure.
Like, and I think that a lot of people resort to that because that's what they experience. Like, I feel like maybe my dad didn't love bomb, like, because I don't think he realized what he was doing. But I feel like there were times where like he would get really upset or like blow up about something. And then he would come in and be like, what do you want from the gas station? Because he knew he could get me with the few
like try to
snackies.
make up for it or something. Yeah.
But I feel like too, it was because he was never taught how to like reconcile or repair a situation. And I don't think everybody is like that. I think there are people that know what they need to do and they don't do it.
Right.
But I think like in instances like with my dad, it was like, let's go I'm going to go to Burger Box. What do you want? Like he did those things as like a means of repair. But I don't think it was in the way that like relationships, they're like scream, yell, horrible. And then they come in the next day and they're like, hey baby, I want to take you out to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because I think like it's like a process, right? So like in the beginning, like this is my experience. In the beginning, it was great. Everything seemed like perfectly like lined up, whatever. And then it was like something would happen, and then it would be like literally because it's only sustainable for so long.
Well, yeah, it's like either this is who you are or it's not. And if it's not, the thing that's gonna trigger you is not me. It's the fact that you have a facade and an act you have to keep up, and that's exhausting.
Yeah, so it'd be like, but then I think too, it's like, if we're talking for a month and you can't hold it together for a month, like, not even hold it together. If that's not who you are, and in a month you ghost me for 2 days because but then this is what happened. It was like, this was too much for me. I've never done this before. Please give me grace. And it's like, okay. Mm-hmm. Then I feel like it teaches them all they have to do is just say the right thing to get you back, love bomb you again, and then we're in this cycle. And that's how I think it starts.
How did you finally like, because once you're in a vicious cycle like that.
Oh, well, I think that was like 6 or 7 months of that. Like, I literally remember, this is embarrassing, I'll be honest. I literally remember, like, can you just be nice to me for one day? Like, one full day? Do you think we could, like, get through without you, like, blowing up about something?
Wow.
And then it was like, at that point, I was just so like disgusted at the whole situation. Like after multiple breakups, like I'm like, no. And I think I just started to realize like, yeah, no, I was like, this is insane. And then I think I told you this, like I felt like the worst was being brought out in me.
Yeah.
And like it was actually really upsetting because I feel like I've tried to like do a lot of, at that point, I think it was behavior modification or like learn healthy boundaries, like whatever. That was before inner healing. But I think I was starting to scare myself with like the things I was doing, the things I was saying, the way I was acting. Like,
yeah, that was so not like you.
Yeah. And I was like, that freaked me out. And then I was like, okay, I literally never, like, I don't want to ever do this ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think too, another why did I want to say, thank you for sharing. I'm so proud of you. That's my normal response when I hear stories. I think in relationships like that, and even in relationships I've experienced, is a few other red flags I feel like are disregarding boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Refusal to compromise.
Yep.
And I feel like even lack of trust can fall into a red flag. But here, let's go to this one. Refusal to compromise. Have you ever been with somebody that's like refuses to compromise on like what you do and don't do?
That was me sometimes.
That's good to say.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I've been there too.
Well, I think there's some things that aren't compromisable.
Yeah.
But I think
making them clear in the beginning.
Right.
Is like
this is where the line is. Yeah.
Like for me, when Billy and I started talking, it was like when we started talking, I was like, just so you know, I'm at church every Sunday. So if that's not your vibe,
yeah,
like it's cool, but that like there's not going to be like him and I didn't travel together either.
Right,
you know
right.
that. But it's not going to be like, oh, let's go watch it. Let's go to a concert Sunday with our friend, or let's go out of town with a group of friends and stay there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's like not going to be my vibe. My vibe would be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, back for church on Sunday.
Right, right.
And I was like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And that was like a non-compromise, and he was like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
There's so
I
much
think
else
that stuff
to do.
is good though. Like obviously like going to church, you know, like I'm going to spend time with Jesus, like things
But
like that.
some people that's not a priority.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there was things that I wouldn't budge on just because one, I was just being stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
And two, but I think for the most part, like I don't know if I've ever been in a situation like somebody won't, like really following Jesus. Like if I was dating a guy and he was like, okay, I'm not going to church every Sunday. That's when I feel like I was like, okay, well, there's really no point to like continue this. Which like should have been established way before we started dating. Yeah. But like, you know what I mean?
When you did finally realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there were a few things that I was like, I'm not budging on. It was that we decided no sex before marriage.
Yeah.
Like that was a really big thing for us. And so even in moments where we found like we were like extremely tempted.
Yeah.
It was like,
I'm not doing it. Yeah.
No. And I need to leave now.
Well, and I think too, like that's like you said, like I think a healthy relationship almost like holds the boundary when you feel like,
oh yeah,
you know,
there were times where like he held it, there were times where I held it, and we had to also deal with and confront the fact that like I'm not being rejected when you tell me no about this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's like if they're like, no, get off. What are you doing? Don't. Like, why are you doing that? Yeah. Then it was like, okay. What do you mean? I'm just like, I'm not doing anything. Yeah. Like, and he's like, yes, you were, girl. Yeah. You are on your way. You are on your road to Emmaus.
Yeah. That's good though, because no, really. And I think too, there is a part like being transparent. Like there is a part that it's like one, that's clearly a temptation, but two, it's like you want them to find you attractive in that way. Yeah. Like that's just, I think maybe human nature, maybe it's because whatever. But so it's like, watch where you're going. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like how close are you getting to like, yeah,
dude, there were very close moments and we literally had to like pack it up. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave. I love you. I'm not leaving because I don't love you. I'm leaving because I love you. Yeah. So let's touch base in the morning when we're in a clear headspace, and we'll be extremely grateful that we made this choice. Yeah. Yeah. And it's super hard and it's super uncomfortable. And it's also like, just because you feel stronger in the moment doesn't mean you don't feel temptation. Yeah. So like there were moments where like Billy and I were both tempted and I would make that call. And it wasn't because I'm like, oh, I don't feel tempted to do this. No. Right. I feel that. Right. But I'm still like, you know. And so then we would regroup in the morning, and he would like literally like, I'm so sorry, or whatever it was, or however our conversation went, acknowledge what he did. And he was like, okay, going forward, this is what we won't do. So like, I remember at one point it was like, I would hang out at his house because his dad lived there still. So it was an apartment.
Right.
And his dad lived there. So his dad would be there. And it was like, when I say an apartment, like literally probably the living space that you have, but on the other side of your restroom was another bedroom. Yeah. But the living room was tiny. The kitchen, everything was like very close together. Yeah. So like there was no sneaking around in that place. Yeah. And he was allowed at my house when my family was there, but never allowed in my room. Yeah. But there came a point where like his dad started working nights. I would still go over because I had always been going over, like whatever. Yeah. And then it turned into like the last, like we were engaged, like the last 4 months of our engagement. It was like, I'm not going to your house because brother, we are this close to the finish line. Hell no. I'll be damned if I fall now. Yeah. And so, we ended up waiting, dude, and literally had sex for the first time the night of our wedding.
You made it to the night.
Dude.
I always wondered that, like, are you so tired that it's like you waited 4 years?
So I know people that like literally waited till they got married but didn't have sex the first night.
I heard that,
and then had sex.
Like they were like, let's go to sleep. Like we want to be clear headed. Like the first time.
I know people that. Yeah, dude. I know people like. I know very few couples that have made it, but I do know couples.
Somebody just said to me like. He was like, he was talking to this girl and he was like, she told me like, well, once I'm engaged, it'll be fine. I'm like, you waited that long and you could have just waited a little longer.
Yep.
Like, at that point, it's a game. Like, I'm going to win.
Oh, I'm a win. I'm a win, sis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Wow.
But he was really respectful of my boundaries. He had definitely been with more partners than I had. Mm-hmm. And he's talked about this openly. Yeah. And so my experience was, again, I didn't have very many long-term relationships. So that clearly means that in the times that I was with people, they weren't important to me. Yeah. And I finally found someone that was like extremely important to me. Yeah. And I also had really like recommitted my whole being to Jesus. Yeah. When right before we started dating. Yeah. When I declined that scholarship, I stayed in California and Palm Springs instead of moving and all that stuff like that. So I had really like determined that if I got into a serious relationship, it was going to be this way. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he was of importance to me. Everybody else was like, literally, it was so
Which just
sad.
makes it 10 times more like special. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's what the thing is like, and people ask this question and we're just going to be so real. I don't know how we got here, but people are like, oh my gosh, what if it's not good at first? Or what if it's not like, whatever?
I think I asked you that.
Well, like, what do you do? People, multiple people asked me that. And because you're so like, not only like, this is the person you're marrying. Yeah. So
you have a lifetime to figure it out.
You do have a lifetime to figure it out. Yeah. And you also like, have this person that you love in a way you've never loved anybody else. Yeah. You've never committed to them like anybody else. Yeah. Nobody else has this level of access to you now that you're married. Yeah. That it's like, you're going to be all right. Yeah. It'll be great because also there's just the anticipation of it. Yeah. That now you're like, this is so exciting because you've been sitting right here waiting for something. And now it's here. Yeah. You know, but yeah, he had never been with anybody that like he had to wait ever. Yeah. Like the guy that I dated long-term in high school, we didn't even ever sleep together. Yeah. Thank God. Thank you, Lord Jesus in heaven. Cause that probably would have changed a lot. Right. Right. Cause the other partners that I had been with, like, and this is just being so honest cause you're going to find it here. I never had like serious deep emotions for them. So I feel like had I been with somebody that I was like, emotionally deeply in like at the time in love with, I feel like it would have made it 10 times harder to get away from them because then I would have added the physical soul tie aspect of things. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I feel like I have the opposite. Like anybody, like I had a relationship, like a long-term relationship with, and that was like definitely a Band-Aid for a long time. Yeah. Like I remember feeling like that. Like I remember being like, oh, this is not even like, we're not having sex because we love each other. Like, besides the fact that it was like not okay. Right. But it was like, we just had an argument and this is like this is a repercussion of that. Like,
let's solve with this.
Yeah. And I was like, ew, this is gross. Like, so sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've had the opposite, but I think it'll just be like so different when that time comes.
Yeah. So it was incredible in the fact that like I actually love this person.
Yeah.
Like with my whole heart.
Yeah.
And now I'm finally experiencing sex in the way that God created it.
Yeah.
With the person that I'm actually in love with.
Yeah.
And so, that was, it changed. I feel like that being something that we committed to our whole relationship continually reminded me how valuable I was to him.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even in times where I was frustrated and angry with him or upset, like all that stuff like that, I kept being reminded like, no, I'm so valuable to him that this guy has been with multiple other girls and multiple other relationships and he's refused to wait with other people. But here he is submitting his life, his own desires, his whatever for the sake of like us doing it the right way.
Yeah.
That always like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It always did something for us.
Well, too, I think like, I've heard like in church, like sex is a gift from God. Like, you know, people say that, but somebody recently said like God enjoys sex. Like when you're in a covenant, like he loves that.
He loves that.
And I was almost like freaked out because I'm like, what the heck? But I think that's a different thing too, because like I was raised in church. So in the act, like I'm not going to lie. Like I feel like it's like, oh my God, I should not be doing this. Like I know better than this. So like, to have that and not feel that, that'll be a whole nother. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I remember thinking like, okay, not on a Sunday. Like, can we please not do this on a Sunday? Like the Lord's Day? No, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's real.
It's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cause dude, I spent like all my adolescent years feeling guilty for every moment of this.
Yeah.
That even I've seen too, like people that deal with like, I still feel guilty. Even though I'm having sex with my spouse, I still feel guilty because I was, like your whole life.
Yeah.
And so then you have to, and people are like, that's so sad because God, something about God. And it's like, no, our own sin that we lived in for so long embedded itself in us, had nothing to do with God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've seen people that deal with that, but you kind of process it through with like that thought. Like God loves this for y'all when you're in covenant.
Yeah.
Loves it. You know what I mean? The first commandment was to be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was beautiful, dude. It was like such a beautiful thing to like be able to.
The wedding was done at 8:00.
I was like, oh my God, it was the worst, dude. Two of our friends had to drive us to our hotel and we're like,
oh, this is awkward.
Everybody here knows me.
Well, I always wondered that like when people are pregnant, it's like everyone knows what I did.
I've seen that. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
You're like, can you step on the gas a little? We need to get
just
that.
drop me off here. I'll walk. That's how I felt. I was like, I'll just walk all the way.
That's so funny.
20 miles to our hotel.
Yep.
Any other red flags that you have?
Yeah, I did have some more. Let's see.
What about the relationship rushers?
Ugh, yeah, I think that's scary. I think one thing it was like subtle, but like isolation was like a big thing for me.
That you did or that had been done to you?
Had been done to me. Like I had never really had that before. So I felt like, and this is how it was. It was like, okay, because we're around human beings that are not perfect, because none of us are, it would be little things like, your friend's doing this. And it's like, she was doing that. So when he said it, I didn't think anything of it because like, he's right. She was doing that. But then it was like a little seed of like, you shouldn't be around her. This person's doing this. Did she do that again? Like, it was like that. And then it became like this thing of like, you can't really trust anyone around you. You can't like, you shouldn't be around this person because of the things that they're doing. You shouldn't be like, you're better than that. But then it was like, you're better than that. But now you're with me in a bubble all day long.
Wow.
So that's like, I think.
Not just the person isolating from you, but getting you to isolate.
Yeah. But it was like, pointing out little things. And some of them, I'm sure like, if certain friends were drinking or, whatever, it's like, don't be around that. You shouldn't be around that. But then it was like, if my friend is like having a glass of wine, like, and she's not belligerent and drunk, like, the Bible says don't get drunk. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just like little things. And then it was like constantly.
Yeah.
Then it was like, okay, I don't I don't know what to do. I don't know where I am. I don't feel like I have any friends. Can I trust them because they're doing these things that I don't want to be like?
Yeah.
So it was like all these things. And then I just found myself in a place of like literally like
you had nobody.
Yeah. And then I felt like a freaking idiot because like I had everyone around me still. But it was like, no. Like
you had this new set of like view of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's real though. Yeah, I feel like that.
Luckily, I have people in my life that when I came out of it, they were like, okay, praise Jesus. But like, that was so hard because it's like, wow, how did I get here? Really, that's how I felt for a long time. Like, how did this happen? And
yeah,
the fact that my friends still want to be friends with me, even you, like the fact that you still like are like, okay, I love you still. I'm like, oh, that's nice because I would have been like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Got nothing but grace, baby.
Yeah.
Give the grace you hope one day you never need.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we got into it.
Period.
Yeah, I hope you liked a little bit of the background. I do want to like just tell real stories because I feel like people look at us too and they don't know. One, they don't know our story, but they also assume that it was easy for us or I don't know. But that's just the reality of like dating and doing it a different way. But yeah, if you see red flags, and even in yourself, they're definitely worth figuring out, like where they come from or why they are the way that they are. And I will say, what's one red flag in you that you've noticed, and then one green flag in yourself that you noticed, and then I'll go and we can wrap it up.
I think I like to control situations.
Oh my gosh, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, and then a green flag. I think I'm very loving. I think that's a green flag.
Yeah, in what way? Like verbally or like gifts?
Time, treasure. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me too, a red flag that I've continued to work on, and maybe it's fading. It's a little pink now. It's not as red. It's same thing, a little bit controlling where like I want to decide, I want to know, I want to plan, I want to, all that. And then a green flag is probably, I'm like really compassionate, I think, with Billy. And just in my relationships, I feel like I try to just be really compassionate. Like I like feel people, like I feel so empathetic in a lot of situations people share with me. So
I have two closing thoughts. One, when you're in a relationship, like, you know how some people are like, one person wants to solve the problem right there. One person wants to like take time, Yes. I heard that it's appropriate. Like the person that needs to take time can say like, no, I don't need, like, no, I can't talk about that right now, but you need to give a time frame.
Good.
So that the person that, whatever, so good. I thought that was good. But then also you said to me, like, a healthy relationship will bring things up and out. Mm-hmm. And then what did you say? Something like up and out, but like an unhealthy one will just bring them out. And then you're like, you don't know what to do.
Yeah. Like a healthy relationship might expose things in you, but they'll also hold space for you to process and heal them. Yeah. A bad relationship will bring them up and out and then blame you for them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or not, or just kind of pull them up and out, and then you're left like, wow, that was a mess. And they're like, yeah, it was a mess. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's good. I forget I say these things.
You're just so wisdomful.
Look at God. Thanks guys for listening to episode 7 of Secrets of a Church Girl. We are having so much fun, loving this. Yes. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye. Bye.